Welcome back to From 9 to Mom.
where we discuss balancing the 9 to 5 hustle with the beautiful chaos that we call motherhood. And today we are very excited to be speaking with Missy about potty training. So you've heard Catie and I talk about this a lot. It's one of the biggest topics moms with little ones bring up. It's exciting, it's confusing, it's completely overwhelming. And today we're sitting down with Missy, who's a certified potty training expert with Slumber and Bloom. And we're going to unpack the truths, the myths, share real practical tips and tricks and strategies that are actually going to work. With winter break coming up, Catie and I have already said this. We're going to be potty training our two little ones over the extended time away from school. And we want to try and make the most of this extra time at home. And can't think of a better moment than now to have this conversation and figure out how maybe we can do this a little better than last time. So, Missy, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. Now is the perfect time.
Yeah.
I hope so. With all the snow in upstate New York, I'm like, we're going to just stay inside and hunker down and potty train. But so, like Danielle said, Missy, you're the owner of Slumber and Bloom. Can you give us a little bit of your background on how you got into this arena of potty training and sleep training?
Yeah, I mean, I my whole life I thought I was going to be a teacher, and I remember my first day of college class. We went around the room. Teacher said, like, what's your goal? What do you want to do? And I was like, I am going to be a kindergarten teacher. And then I became a kindergarten teacher, and it was great. It was wonderful. I loved it for enough time. I mean, I could go on about all that, but we'll save that for another day. Once I had my first kid, I tried to go back to teaching, and it was just such a different world where instead of being present with my students all day, I was worried about my kid because I knew he wasn't sleeping at daycare. So then he was miserable and crying all night when we got home. He was awake all night because he was overtired. And then I started staying home, but I wanted to still be able to help other families. Fast forward, I had two more kids, and all my friends are like, how do you sleep at night? And I'm like, why wouldn't I? So then I start kind of becoming my friend's little sleep whisperer. And I will never forget the day my best friend was like, I feel like you can probably make a business out of this. And she's like in marketing and all that. So she's like, I think you could. I think you could do something with this. And I found a certification program. I started with sleep training. And then after a lot of struggles with my daughter with constipation struggles for 2 years, I never wanted other families to feel the agony that we went through. And it was like, I would say traumatic. It was a traumatic time for her and for the whole family because it affected everyone. So I actually did two potty training certifications because do you swear on this podcast?
We
Oh,
do.
yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say I take this shit seriously.
Literally
Yes.
and figuratively, right?
Literally. Yeah.
Yes, this is the safe space for mom, so anything goes realistically. But yeah, it's so cool. And Missy and I connected locally here in Rochester through some networking groups. And from the second I had your card at the very first event, I'm like, she needs to be on the podcast. And it's great that the timing has worked out because I've had my sights set on like that December, January timeframe to potty train my younger one. He's gonna be 2.5. So I think, and I wanted to go right into some questions, is like, when do you think the right age to potty train is? It's the question everyone has.
It is. It's such a hot topic of a question. And my answer is not usually what parents want to hear because there is no cut and dry. Like some parents will be like, oh, my kid's 18 months. We're going to start potty training. Probably not quite ready yet, but it's more about the signs of readiness. And I love the 2.5 sweet spot.
Okay.
Really, anywhere between 2 and 3 is going to be usually pretty successful. It's like before that and after that that it can get a little dicey. But again, it depends on if your child is showing those signs of readiness.
What are some of the signs?
Yeah. So huge thing for parents to be looking for. And I'll say too that like the prep work ahead of potty training is the key to success. So seeing like how often is your kid's diaper wet? How often are they pooping? Can they pull up and down their own pants? Can they get themselves dressed? Can they listen to two steps of directions? Because if they have to go potty, it's pull down your pants and sit on the toilet. They have to be able to
Can they
follow
follow?
directions. So sometimes it's that physical stuff that you want to see if they're ready for, but also the emotional side of things. If there's a child who does not do well with change. They're very slow to warm up or just not your typical easygoing, happy go lucky toddler. They're a little more standoffish. You might want to wait a little longer with those kids because they might just need a little more time to emotionally warm up to using the bathroom.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Definitely, and I feel like it's cool to hear that the 2.5 is, like, a good sweet spot because with my older one, we tried at 2.5 and I was ill prepared, we gave up and waited a little longer, he was not ready, but I felt so much pressure because he was gonna go to a preschool program, and they were like, "We don't change diapers here, they have to either be able to be in a pull-up the whole time or use the bathroom completely on their own," and it was a 3-year-old program,
Right.
so that made
I
me a little
that's it makes it really difficult from a parenting perspective, and, like, so I have 3 of my own kids, and luckily, we had a nursery school that was like, they don't have to be potty trained to be here, but when there are those standards and regulations, it makes it a little harder, and there's higher pressure for parents to get their kids potty trained, but it's not
Yeah.
Sorry, Catie, because I'm curious, because you like obviously you were pressured into not that you were pressured into it. You felt pressured because of this nursery school. Daisy goes to a school where she doesn't have to be potty trained yet, whatever. But they are trying to, obviously, and I want to get her potty trained. She's in the same thing, like Catie said, 2.5, 3. She's not 3 yet. So feel good about that. But is there such thing as I know you said that's a sweet spot, but is there such thing as too late? Like when is it too late?
I got some heat on this one on an Instagram reel
No.
because
We love heat.
I
I
mean,
know.
yeah, I like it is kind of funny how
Creates
like so
conversation.
many people have, yeah, like and so many like opinions from people who think that they know everything about everything, and
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, because and this is another one of those, it depends on your kid's personality. Generally, if we're going on like 3.5 or 4, and parents are saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna wait for them to tell me they want to do it. I'm just gonna wait so they can do it on their own." That's when it becomes optional for your child. And what child who's been in a diaper from day one is going to say, I think I'm ready for potty training today. Other than my daughter, she definitely did. So there are like the unicorn kids who will say, I don't want to wear a diaper anymore, but that is definitely not the norm. So sometimes, and it's like not a knock on anybody's parenting. I know everyone has their reasons for waiting. For any like typically developing child who doesn't have a reason, medically, emotionally, whatever, for holding off on potty training, you could definitely be dealing with a lot more pushback, refusal, accidents, and just like it seems like they're not ready, but it's because they missed the window.
Okay. That does make sense to me because I feel like listening to you talk, Daisy was showing signs very early, but she wasn't old enough to like follow the two-step directions. But now I feel like even though she's not 3 yet, and I know we're going to get into this later, but she wants to potty train. She's asking for the like even this morning, she's like, I want to wear my mini underwear like Ava. I'm like, well, you need to pee pee in the potty then. And she's like, I did at school once. I was like, yeah, you need to do it every day. But she's getting smart enough to be like, yeah, no, I'll just wear my diaper. So I even feel that on this level. So we have no choice now because I feel like if I wait a minute longer, she's going to be able to just tell me absolutely not.
Right.
But now we're looking at this break to get this done. I think there's so many parents doing this. I know a ton who tried over Thanksgiving. Some succeeded, some failed. We've all heard the 3-day rule, let him be naked, run around. Like, what is actually the appropriate amount of time to put aside for potty training? Like a month, a week, 3 days? Like, what are we looking at?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like everything I'm going to say is going to be, it depends on the kid. However, and I always throw that disclaimer out there because there's always going to be someone who says, well, my kid, I don't love like the 3-day method as like the end all be all. This is going to be 3 days and they're going to be great. Are they going to be very well practiced in peeing? Yeah. Are they going to have poop perfected? Probably not. Generally, I say a week that they're doing a pretty decent job, 2 to 3 weeks, and you're probably out of the woods, but it takes 21 days to make a habit. So that like 3-week mark, and then even like after that, kids get distracted, kids get sick, you travel, like all the things can happen. So there's never going to be, oh, like it's been 2 weeks, you should be perfect by now. But generally, I do like to say like a solid week of a lot of parental guidance.
And with that, like, obviously, maybe not obviously, Catie, you and I have talked about this, the naked method. Like, I let Colton just be naked. Like, if he peed on the floor, he
That's
peed
what
on
we
the
did with
floor or
Jack
whatever.
too.
Is that a myth? Does that work? Like, what do you think about that?
Percent. Yep. Yeah. To break the muscle memory of wearing a diaper, the best way to do that is just being naked. So I don't
Sounds
go
fun.
straight to underwear. I don't let that kid have underwear until they prove to me that they know how to pee and poop in the toilet. Because as soon as you put that underwear back on, it feels like a diaper. It still has the same feeling. So subconsciously, a child might not be like, oh, I'm just going to pee and poop in this because I don't want to stop. Like sometimes parents will say, like, oh, they're just being lazy. They don't want to stop what they're doing. But they don't necessarily have the cognition to say, I'm not wearing a diaper. I'm wearing underwear. Let me stop what I'm doing and go to the bathroom. So once like you have that muscle memory broken of that diaper and your kid is successfully peeing and pooping in the toilet, then we can talk about underwear.
Yeah. I do know somebody that is in the midst of potty training right now, and she's struggling with a boy doing great through the day. She went right to underwear. So, underwear. And then when she goes to pull ups for bedtime, he's waiting till then and poops in the pull up before bed.
Yeah, so I mean, and I know we were going to talk about nighttime potty training too, but
Yeah.
I guess we can just jump into
Just do
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
very nighttime potty training is developmental. So for a child to hold their pee for maybe 2 hours, give or take during the day, and then go to the bathroom, perfect, great, awesome. For them to developmentally be able to hold it for 12 hours overnight or have the ability to wake up out of a deep sleep and go to the bathroom is not developmentally appropriate. So wearing a diaper until just overnight until they naturally are staying dry more nights than not. Then we know their body is physically able to. And of course, there's strategies like tapering off how much you're letting them have to drink after dinner and
Yeah.
then before bed. You know, we're not dehydrating kids, but we're not overly hydrating them at bedtime either. So, you know, a couple sips here and there, but like dinner time should be like, hey, get your gulps because then we're, you know, tapering off before bed. You know, have a little Dixie cup when they brush their teeth, make sure they go to the bathroom before they go to bed. And then, yeah, like use the diaper until they are staying dry naturally. And then once you're at that phase is when you can take the diaper away. And if they're pooping in it, then they don't have that crutch anymore.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting. I'm like trying to think back now to when I potty trained Jack, and like I mean, so he's just turned 4 2 months ago. And I feel like it was over the summer that we ditched pull ups overnight. Like it just all of a sudden we were like, these are dry every single morning. Like, let's just go. Cause it was like, a couple weeks of just dry all the time. So we were like, let's just do it. And,
I feel like with Colton, Catie, you remember he ditched the pull up later than
yeah.
that. And I had to do some specific like work with him. He potty trained so fast. So he was potty trained in his early twos. I think thank you to daycare too for helping like push that forward. But he stayed in the pull up till after 4. And can you remember I would wake him up? I started having to taper off the water because I was not doing that. And then I would wake him up before
Do remember
he's
this.
a deep, deep sleeper, like a super deep sleeper. So I would have to like wake him up. And it only took a week, but I'd wake him up before I went to bed to go to the bathroom, put him back to bed. And then after a week, we were able to like, he wasn't peeing in his pull up anymore. And we were able to ditch it. But I remember it being like nighttime being a lot harder. And I remember even being younger, us being younger, and like people making fun of kids because they still wore pull-ups at night, but like, and parents being like, it's a boy thing. Like boys are just harder at nighttime, or I don't know if that's true or not, but I now feel bad for maybe the way we might have treated some children in our youth.
I don't remember that as a kid, like at all.
We had
I
one friend, he
Yeah,
poor,
I
poor
mean, like,
soul.
there's always somebody. Now that I think about it, there was always one girl who was never allowed to sleep over, and I'm like, I wonder if that's why.
He was a
What?
bedwetter.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's like a to each their own thing. Like with like my sleep training and potty training, I do not mess with the sleep. So if like I'm not gonna get a kid out of bed to go pee on the toilet, but if it works, then great. It's kind of like, do you remember? Did you guys ever hear of like the dream feeds?
Yes.
When, like, the babies are newborns and, like,
Yep.
parents feed them right before they go to bed.
Yes.
to kind
I
of
don't remember
like
that.
stretch out.
It's
Yeah,
exactly what you just explained, but with like
with feeding.
with yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my rule was always never wake a sleeping baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and some doctors will make you like in those like first couple months, they'll be like, oh, feed the baby before you go to bed. So the same
They'll
thing with the
sleep longer.
potty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you wake them up and have them go to the bathroom before you go to bed, it can help them, but it's definitely like if it helps your kid, by all means do it. If they'll go right back to sleep, go ahead. If it's not helping and they're still having accidents, just go to bed and get your sleep.
Just
Everyone
do
might
it.
be more calm if everyone has their sleep, right?
So you mentioned reward systems already, like kind of like when they go to the bathroom. I do want to get into that because Catie and I are in the prep phase of getting
Yes.
ready for this. I'm already talking to Daisy about like what rewards do you want? What is your take on those? I know there's a lot of different opinions, but you're certified, so you could tell us the truth.
I'm
Like
heavy
what
on
should we
the
be doing?
positive reinforcement. There is
Okay.
a big difference between rewards and bribery. And it can be a slippery slope because, I mean, like I said, when I was struggling with my daughter and the constipation, it was like, if you poop, I'll give you blah, blah, blah. And that's where it becomes a dangerous tool. It should not even be mentioned in the process of they need to go to the bathroom. It's, oh my gosh, you went to the bathroom. Let's put a sticker on your chart. And then
Okay.
once the chart is full, then they get a physical prize. But my biggest thing with rewards is that, like during your prep phase, you're bringing the kid, go to the dollar store because if you like, what is it? If you give a mouse a cookie, they're going to want like everything else. So go to the dollar store so you can save some dollars and just let your kid roam around with a basket and let them pick what they want. Let
Okay.
them pick their own prizes, let them pick their own stickers because then they're already motivated. If I know a lot of parents want to come home with surprises and say, I picked out a potty for you, I picked out underwear for you, I picked out all these things. Maybe your kid doesn't want that one and maybe they don't care. So now they're going to refuse to use it. So when you give them ownership of these are my stickers, these are my prizes, this is what I want, they're going to be more motivated. And so having it be rewarded after the fact, then once you pee, I'll give you your sticker or whatever, then that's bribery.
It's good to know because I definitely was planning on using bribery unbeknownst to me. So now I know that I need to
Yeah.
use reward.
Yeah. More
Well,
of like a cause and effect.
no,
You're
this is
creating
like these
behaviors.
are the things I wish I knew before I tried the very first time because with Jack, I just bought all the stuff and I'm like, all right, these 3 days are convenient for us.
Let's
We're gonna
go.
do it like blindly thinking like what I read online was just gonna work. And we're 24 hours in and I'm like, I'm crying, my husband's about to cry, Jack's crying. We're like, we're not ready as a family. We are not ready. But
And it's okay. You take a
yeah.
step back and then you reset and then you start again over Christmas break.
Yeah, it was almost like that break was like he like understood was like, "Oh, now I remember when we tried this. Like, let's do this again." But how long between like from when you start like should we incentivize? Like use those reward systems for? Like how long is appropriate?
Throughout the whole process, you mean?
Yeah.
So naturally, you can phase them out by having them earn more stickers before they get a physical prize. So let's say, for example, like your kid is maybe they're not that motivated or they really want that prize that they bought. You're only having 3 stickers on a chart for them to earn, and they can do that pretty quickly. So then they're getting that very quick, like this
Mm,
freight, the dopamine hit.
yeah.
We all have it.
Like
That
that quick
shopaholic syndrome.
excitement. Yeah. The quick excitement of, oh, I filled in 3 stickers. I'm going to get a prize. The next time you bump it up to 6 stickers and then they can get their prize. And then as they get better and better at using the potty, you make it 12 stickers before a prize or a day without accidents before they get a prize. Like you can always move the needle with that kind of reward system and phase it out at the same time by just raising the stakes a little bit and having that plan of, okay, we're going to start with small baby steps. Couple times sitting on the potty, great, good job. And it depends on the kid. If you have a kid who's very anxious, they can get a sticker just for trying. If you have a kid who has their pee down but not their poop, they can get 1 sticker for pee, 2 stickers for poop. And then what do you know? There's a prize. So kind of like phasing it out as they get better and just increasing the state.
I like that because I was going to ask you, I think we were going to ask you next anyways, but it phases right into it. Like, what do you do with kids who are afraid of the potty or who have like constipation issues? I kind of want to get into that because Daisy used to sit on the toilet next to me. I've had the little toilet out forever because she would want to. When's the last time any of us went to the bathroom alone? Like, I
Right.
can't
Sit while you
remember.
sit.
Right.
And if I do, I like scroll on my phone for like 15 minutes. People probably think I fall in, but it's just because I need peace and quiet. But it really doesn't happen often. She was sitting there forever, and now all of a sudden she is terrified of the toilet. So giving them more reward just for sitting versus a kid who sits all the time, like that does make sense.
Yeah.
Any other tips for that? Like how that
Yeah.
transition could go?
I mean, it's definitely so I so as I was like a teacher, I also did child life psychology and a lot with like play therapy.
Okay.
So a lot of like role playing scenarios, like while you're like you got to be on the floor playing with your kid and you have to be like already engaging in play, and then you can kind of like introduce like with one of your characters like, oh, I got to go and your child is going to subconsciously communicate with you how they feel. If they're going to say like I'm scared or I don't want to, like you can subconsciously get out of them what is going on deep inside. And then you can kind of figure out like are they scared? Do they just not want to do something new? And then from there I like to write social stories. So if they're just like general anxiety around the potty, like they're scared of the unknown, then I will get pictures of the child and I will write a very basic story. Daisy can use the potty. Daisy likes to play outside. She can run, she can jump, and she can use the potty. And introduce like her own character and her own
Oh, that's so
story,
cute.
reading it over and over again, letting her look at it independently on her own, and really just kind of helping her get more comfortable with sitting. Like, we're not like the baby steps again. Like, we're not going for gold here. We don't need the poop and potty yet. We
Yeah.
just need to be comfortable. We need to know, like, what's coming out of each hole because sometimes we don't know there's more than one thing going on down there.
Yeah.
And just really understanding like the anatomy of it, the urge, like sometimes that can be scary to a kid. Like, oh, I am feeling this new urge that I have to now control. I don't want to do that. I've never done that before.
Does make sense. And I feel bad that I'm blowing up. Like we're blowing up Kelvin, Jack, Daisy. We're blowing
One
up their
day they're
spot.
gonna
Our
hate us
son's
so
gonna be
much
so
for
mad.
this.
But
I did just have a question that popped in because, like, going along with learning the anatomy of things and that, we still struggle with Jack wiping. And, like,
wait,
how long does it take for them to understand
forever.
that?
I'm
Like, should
sorry.
I be harder on him to learn or
No. One day you will notice I didn't have to wipe him today. What?
yeah,
What?
it'll
Like,
just come?
it was a couple weeks ago. My husband and I were like, when's the last time we had to wipe a butt? And
Good
like
for you
one day
guys.
they just do it. And I would say like most of the time it does kind of correlate with like a full day school program,
Yeah.
whether that's like a preschool or a kindergarten, that they kind of have to figure it out. So if that's the case, I do a lot of practicing in the bathtub. Wash this body part, wash that body part. Okay, now wash your whatever you're gonna
Yeah.
call
Call it.
our parts.
Yeah.
And I mean, I always opt for the anatomically correct terms. Every parent's going to have their own opinions on that, but you want your kid to be able to communicate to anybody around them.
I agree because I will never. Your first like core memory. I was in preschool and my mom. You guys, okay, you know this already. My mom called. It was like a Polish word. She said she called my hoo ha a cummy. Okay, a cummy. Of all the words to use, cummy's worse than vagina. Like, come on. So like, yeah. So and then she called peeing shushu. Not I have to pee. I have to go shushu. And I peed my pants and I was very embarrassed. And it's because I didn't know that those were called different things. So like I've been very bold on telling my kids. But the problem is when you have a younger sibling, and maybe you can give us this, they are very interested. They're not of the same sex. They're very interested in what's happening with the other one. And I've already had Daisy try to like stand up pee because
Yep.
Colton can stand up
Been
pee,
there.
or like, oh, mommy, where's my penis? Like, do you want like,
Yep.
you don't have one, boo. Like, we got to talk
Right.
about this. But sometimes it feels like you want to you don't want to hide from those questions because you
Now
don't
is
want them
the
to feel,
time.
but like any advice for that? Like, what's the
You
right thing
go
to
to the
do?
library and you get some books about body parts because
Okay.
not only do they need to know their anatomy, but they need to know who can and can't touch them. Who's allowed to look at them, who's allowed to help them. If they're at school, they need to know like this is a safe person. If there's a stranger in the classroom, that's not a safe person. They definitely like the sooner the better
So
to
they're
teach.
asking, it means they are comprehending and better to have that
Yeah.
conversation.
And a lot of times at this age, like, and actually every age when you have a child, whenever they ask any question, like, mommy, why don't I have a penis? Why do you think you don't have a penis? And ask them, like, just rephrase the question to them, asking them what they think. And then that'll kind of gauge where they're at with things because sometimes they might ask a question like, where do babies come from? And they're not asking about like birds, bees, and all the things. They're just asking, like, do they come out of your butt? Like, I've had a
That
kid ask
happened to
me
me
that.
because I always told Colton that, like, he came out of my belly, and one of the kids at school when he went in kindergarten, he was like, "Mom, I know where babies really come from," and I
Yep.
can't lie to the kid, so I'm like, "Oh, great, we're gonna
Right.
have this conversation real early," and he's
Yep.
like, "They come out of your vagina. They burst out of your vagina." I was like, "Actually, that is correct. I'm sorry. I told you your belly. I didn't think you could. I didn't know if you could comprehend it, but now that you've asked, yes,
Right.
We are here.
we are
It's
here.
actually
You are
funny
correct."
because Jack isn't asking about, like, the anatomy portion. He was more like, "Are we gonna have another baby, like, in our family?" And I was like, "No, buddy, sorry." And I forget when this was, but they saw and I don't change this is a boy household now. I don't change in front of any of the boys anymore because I'm just not ready to answer the questions. But at one point, they saw my C-section scar, and Jack asked, he would like point and rub at it. And I was like, oh, that's where Kelvin came out of. He's like, me too. And I'm like, well, a little different for you. It's just weird to like get it. They're babies, and all of a sudden now it's like, okay, wait, I have to teach you to be a human and like all of the things. Now it's like a totally different mindset. You're worried about the potty training, the sleeping, and that. And now it's like a whole nother ballgame.
Well, the good thing too about them being younger when you start talking about things is that it's kind of practice for when they get older. I mean, I'll never forget my 12-year-old came to me and he was like, if you made me, because he knows like he came from me, and he's like, how do I look so much like daddy? And I was like, oh.
There we go.
And like he knew, like, but we've had so many conversations when he was younger that it was like he was comfortable to come to me and ask. So, I mean, the younger you start talking to them about things, the better.
I would rather have them come talk to us than
Yeah,
talk to somebody else,
because
is
they're
all I have in
going
my
to hear
brain.
it from kids,
And I'm
like,
like, "Am I
especially
giving them
like,
too much?" Like, I
yeah.
get scared that I'm giving them too much information.
No, just if you just phrase it as like, "Well, what do you think?" And then you kind of just not really elaborate on whatever they say, but either correct it or tell them, "Yeah, you're totally right."
Yeah. I know we got on a tangent, but I think that was an important thing. But I want to get back to some of the issues. I know both of you have dealt with constipation issues with your kids. So let's dive into that with potty training. What advice do you have for anyone that has dealt with it or is dealing with that and trying to potty train as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of it's gonna come down to nutrition. Lots of, and I know it's not the season for watermelon, but watermelon is such a good pooper.
All
Really.
right.
Yeah,
Good.
it really it hydrates you and it just makes you poop. But right now, like this time of year, just like lots of like high fat is good. Making like smoothies and popsicles with your kids, that's going to keep them hydrated, fiber, and anything like you could put chia seeds in it together and like having your kid help you make things because the more they're helping make something, the more likely it is that they're going to eat it or drink it.
Yeah.
So really just like trying to keep the poop soft and then making it a very low stress environment because again, like the constipation is usually because of an anxiety.
Yeah, it makes me feel so bad. Like, I know we talked very briefly about it, but Daisy will literally turn like she knows she wants to go in a corner, she wants to be alone, she wants to be close, but she's like turning like she's just so uncomfortable. And the nutrition did help. Like, I started doing Orgain every day, like for kids, and that made her more regular. It's still not super soft, but when I was giving Miralax, this is a question I actually have because the doctor's like, give her Miralax, it's then so liquidy that it's almost the opposite problem. Like, she was embarrassed because it was like running down her legs. So, like, do you suggest doing that when you're potty training?
No.
No. Okay.
And I don't love Miralax because of that exactly. The doctor did recommend that for my daughter as well and we had the same issue. And not only like it's okay for a couple days if they've been really constipated and they're trying. There's like constipation is such a huge umbrella of like a lot of different issues that can be going on. So if they're withholding and they just don't want to poop, then the Miralax will make it so they can't hold it anymore. If they are trying to poop and they just can't, then it can help to soften it for them. But I don't like to use it in like as a solution. Like it can be a temporary tool for maybe a couple days, but other than that, I don't want kids relying on it because they're not getting the urge to poop and their poop becomes so liquidy they don't even know what it feels like to have to poop anymore.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's
Yeah.
scary for them too. I think it's like scary, embarrassing. They're old enough to understand. I stopped using it entirely pretty much in October, I think it was, because I switched over, like you said, nutrition. I didn't realize what a big role that was playing in it. It's still not perfect, but
And
at
it's
least now
well
she's not
hard
afraid.
because you have toddlers who don't want to eat
Right.
all the things.
Anything.
That is huge because my kids won't eat anything of nutrition.
I'm gonna go
That's why
find a
I
bajillion
always say,
watermelons.
like, make the
They
smoothies,
eat
turn them into
watermelon.
popsicles, and have them help you make it because you can sneak
Yeah.
anything in, and
That you
then
wanna do. That's such
hopefully
a good idea too, because when they feel like they made it, like when you make it, they're like, "Ew, I don't like this. It's not how so and so made it." And you're like, "Great, you made it. You made
like,
it."
"You made it. You made it. You made it."
But we have to talk about boys versus girls too before we
I
end the
know, and we
questionnaire.
can't not talk about my Instagram post that I posted yesterday. I started talking to Missy about it. Was that it's of me. If anyone hasn't seen it, I'm cleaning the toilet and saying, "How do you explain this feeling to girl moms?" And of course, I know that girls are just as messy as boys, but I feel like I'm just cleaning around my toilet constantly between, sorry, Ryan, you and Jack, like, and Calvin hasn't even started yet. And I'm like, when I get him into this equation, and Jack stands up to pee now, like he really enjoys that. And we had an overwhelming response of people saying all of your boys in your house, including your husband, should be sitting to pee. And I was just shocked. I'm like, Jack doesn't want, he sees what dad does, he sees what other people do. So he wanted to stand. He's been standing for as long as I can remember now. I feel like as soon as we were done potty training and he understood, we went right to standing when he could reach and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, gender-wise, I have never like, I don't see, like, more boy clients than I see girl clients, and even, like, I have 2 boys and a girl, and I would definitely say based on experience, it's when the child is ready is when it's going to be easy. It's not a boy versus girl thing. Like you can go with like the school of thought that boys develop slower. Okay, maybe, but if they're ready to potty train, then it's not going to be hard. So it's not necessarily like pushing them based on age or waiting based on age or gender. It's the signs of readiness, and when they're ready is when it's going to work and it's not going to be hard. And then, I mean, as far as sitting, like we did kind of talk about this, I do have boys sit to pee at the beginning until they decide that they want to stand. And when I was teaching, I did have an experience where a kid wanted to stand to pee because he wanted to be like his dad, and he had the seat up and he was leaning over because he couldn't reach, and the seat fell.
Oh, poor little guy. That's terrifying.
So damaged
Oh, poor
goods.
guy. Poor
And
guy.
I mean, I hope he's okay now, but
He survived the
I'm sure
incident.
he recovered,
He's
yeah,
but
sitting to peace to
that
this
should be
day. He's never gonna
traumatizing.
stand again.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't
I got
stand
one of
anymore.
those. I think I sent it to you, Katie. I think you ended up getting one too.
Yeah.
The
Yep.
urinal when Colton was like, because
Oh, yeah.
I
Those are
could put it
awesome.
at the right height of the wall and it had
Yep.
the frog tongue. So like aim wise, it was helpful because he wanted it to like move. I found that to
And
be very helpful
yeah, yeah.
because you're right, they're too
Definitely.
small. But now he just, I don't understand. I will never understand like something I wish I could understand, like the joy of just standing and peeing or like peeing outside without having to like
Yeah.
squat behind a bush. Like it'd be cool, you know? But maybe not like when you tell them like just drop it and pee, like the boys do like tend to take that very literally, versus girls. But I'm interested to see because Katie, you're doing boy boy, I'm doing boy girl, and I think it's unique because I thought she was gonna be so easy. And what you're saying, like it's not about boy versus girls, about readiness. Like she's actually, I think, gonna be a little bit harder than Colton
Yeah.
was as a girl.
And the last question that I want to address before we get into other stuff is being outside of the house, because we struggled initially with this, like that 3-day method of being naked at your home. Don't go anywhere, be home. But how do you translate that to going out? Do you go straight to underwear? Do you put pull ups on so that it's a little more convenient? Or,
Not go back to pull-ups.
okay.
When they're done, they're done. Very small increments. So what I always did, and I mean, obviously not everyone can do exactly this, but the library had like a 30-minute story time. And so at home, and we're going commando, we're still not putting underwear on. So we're just wearing pants. At home, we go to the bathroom, we put pants on, we get in the car, we go to the library, we go to the bathroom, we sit for story time, we go to the bathroom, we go home, we go to the bathroom. So
There you go.
it's
Yeah.
like, it's going to be a structured 30-minute program and then you're home. If you're not going to do something like that, like go to a playground for 30 minutes or go to Wegmans for 30 minutes, get one or two things.
Yeah.
You're not going for a full trip. Like you're not doing full outings. You're not taking a road trip. You're not just like 3 days and then thinking you're going right back to regular life. It has to be a gradual reintroduction to society.
Yeah, right?
It's
It is
true
such
because I
an
know people
adjustment
get
for
embarrassed
parents.
too. Like parents
Yeah.
that don't want to do it because they get embarrassed, or they're like, they do it and they're like, well, we have to do these things. And then they're mad when it doesn't work. But like you said, 21 days for an adult to form a habit, right? Like we
Yeah.
struggle with habit forming. I never thought of it that way. Like how much more difficult is it for a child?
It's still about 21 days for kids too, but the more consistent parents are, and that's actually where a lot of people might go a little wrong, is like the parents feel like they can slip up. And I see this with sleep training and potty training, where the parents are like, okay, it's going well. I feel like I can ease back a little bit. And then they start seeing regressions. And that's because like parents think that everything's going great and wonderful too soon. Like maybe it is, but the child still needs the prompts and the support and the help to make sure that they're remembering. Like your kid's top of mind is not potty training, yours is.
That's
So
true.
to remember. And sometimes like you'll be in the middle of Target and your kid's gonna say, I gotta pee, and that means they gotta pee now. So you leave your cart and you go to that bathroom.
And you're always on the back of the store.
I know.
You always are.
Love it.
I had to almost run through Target once because
Yep.
I was in the
We've
back.
all been there. We've all
Ugh.
Do
been
you,
there.
do you bring pee pee pads with you and put them at the bottom of the cart? Sometimes I've thought about that, like just in case. I'm like, no, it's going to be fine. It's going to be
And it
fine.
will be fine. Like, worse, they're gonna pee their pants, right? Like, and we leave. Like, that's
Yeah.
Well, and then
That's
there's
that's
the
natural consequences.
Missy,
yeah.
the one that I struggled with. Colton didn't like have a lot of accidents after. It was when he was having too much fun. Like he went for a period where he didn't pee his pants at all. And like a year later, he was like, I'm not kidding. Sorry, Colton. Kindergarten, he'd like have an accident at like a party or something because he's like, Mom, I was just having too much fun. I didn't pay attention. And I'm
Think
like
about it.
mortified for him. But at the end of the day, like I had to start thinking about like asking him again at parties and stuff.
It just comes down to the routines. Routines. Like you make sure that they go. I remember I am the way I am because of my mom. I remember every single time we would get in the car to go somewhere, it was you go to the bathroom first. You don't know what the bathroom's going to be like. You don't know if there's going to be a bathroom. So you go. She would always say, I don't care if you don't have to pee, just try. And I'm still in that habit of anytime I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Anytime I get somewhere, I'm going to at least know where the bathroom is. So it's just building that routine of always going before you leave the house. And if you're at somewhere for more than 2 hours and you know that they peed at home, if it's been 2 hours, just say, hey, I got to go to the bathroom, come with me. And then you
Yeah.
go anyways. And if they go, they go.
Yeah, that
Right.
makes sense. Like, I gotta go. Let's go together, whatever. And they
We
come in,
always
and
tell,
usually they'll always like, I don't have to. And then
of
you're in
course.
there going, and they're like, I really gotta go. And I
Yep.
have to like stand
It
up
always
so he
happens.
can pee before me. I'm like, oh,
It
well,
is.
But
glad I
It's
made you come. I'm half naked, but you go, you go. We
you
got
got
this.
it after you, honey.
it is, yeah, right? It's their world. Well, Missy, this was such good information. I know we teased as well that you do a lot of consulting on sleep as well. So we would love to have you back to talk more about that there. But if anyone is interested out there to work with you, can you go through a little bit of your programs and what you offer?
Yeah, just for potty training today.
Yeah, go through that first
Yeah.
and then, yeah.
Yeah, so potty training, I 100% recommend taking my course. It's called Potty Party because potty training should be less of a stress and more of a party. And it actually like really should be a bonding experience with your child. And I'm taking you through the 3 phases. So the prep work, the actual grunt work of it, and then how to handle regressions and daycare and school and, all like going out and refusals and all of that is covered in the course that I always recommend doing first. And then you can always add on optional support, which is the most valuable thing because look how many questions we came up with today. And that's like the inside of every mother's brain and father, whoever is doing the major work of potty training. But the questions that come up, you want to have a professional that you can text and say, this is what's happening. What do I do? And you would have 30 days of that unlimited text message support. Like, my phone is always here because I'm always available for my clients. And being able to have that support while parents are going through the struggle is the most valuable things. I did discount the bundle by $99 for all of your listeners today,
Which is
just by
awesome.
using the code podcast, all capped. And then you're essentially getting the course for free plus some and the support.
Doing it because that's my biggest thing I'm worried about with date. Like, just when you said there's 30 days of like being able to text you in the moment, be like, she's saying this and crying. I feel like, yeah, you could go to ChatGPT or the internet or your friend group,
Right.
but everybody has an opinion or what
Yep.
worked for their kid. And sometimes like then you get even more frustrated because you're trying a strategy that worked for somebody else, but it's not working for you. So all caps podcast, I'm doing it because I want this to happen because
It has
selfish. And it is selfish. She's ready. Like, she's emotionally ready. I'm afraid to wait any longer because I think she'll become
Yeah.
defiant. So
And
I'm
I tell
excited.
all my clients, once you are in the Slumber and Bloom world, like you're not Googling, you're not ChatGPT, and you are absolutely not posting on a Facebook moms group because you are going to get 50,000 questions. Like, you send me a text, you said, like, if our consultation is over, you send me an email. We're going to figure it out because you don't need every single person's opinion because at the end of the day, everybody's going to have a different opinion. So just go straight to somebody who's been doing this for almost 10 years.
It's
Crazy. I
amazing.
love it.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for all of your intel today. This
I
has
could talk
been
about it all
amazing.
day, every day.
I think we
And I
could
do.
too. It's, getting geared up for it because we're both in that time is like, it's fun to talk about it and it makes you feel more prepared. So hopefully made all of you out there more prepared. So thank you again, Missy. And we can't wait to have you back to talk sleep. All right. We'll see
Bye,
you guys
everyone.
next time.